Welcome to LBM Flash Moments with Phil Fernaro.
All right, hello everyone. This is Phil Fernaro, and this is LBM Flash Moments. This is our shorter episodes on Tuesdays, or now that everyone's streaming these things, whenever you listen to it. Our Flash Moments are meant to just be a interaction between me and our bright community, just to sort of explain what's happening to me during the weeks, and sort of explain how these things affect how I think, and hopefully maybe pick up a thing or two, a couple light bulb moments, and have some shift in your life as a result of it. The guests podcasts are obviously all available. Flash Moments have been picking up steam as we go along here. So anyway, a little shorter version where you can jump in and sort of enjoy a shorter time on your iPhone or your computer or wherever you're listening. So what today we're going to talk about. This is awesome. Every time, I know it's kind of weird. I read the Chicago Tribune, and I think it's just been a matter of course that I've read the Tribune for all decades. Just pick it up, read it. I could do a lot of this stuff on the phone electronically, but reading a newspaper actually brings my attention. This is not what we're going to talk about, but I'm just going to explain why I read the Tribune, and just magazines in general. It forces me to stop because my attention span, which is pretty immense, I can concentrate. People can be throwing stuff at my head and yelling and screaming. I can concentrate, but now what I've been spending more time on the computer, more time on my phone, it's harder for me to read things. So this is sort of a training exercise, force me to get through the entire article, not skip things. I'm a very fast reader, but that's not the intent here. I want to read for content, read for views, read for perspective, read for learning. So the idea is that as I read the newspaper, I always find some pretty fun things. Usually, they're little articles or little cartoons that are meant to aggravate my wife and kids. That I put them on the countertop, so when they come down, they see it and then they're aggravated. I know that's weird, but that's kind of fun for me. Anyway, the idea here is that I read this article, and it was a Tribune article called "Social Media Polarized Us, as AI is about to make it worse." And I'm going to explain who wrote it and how it connects to light bulb moments. But social media polarized us, which is true. We talk about it all the time. I mean, we're completely polarized on Facebook. At least LinkedIn's a little bit better, and we're having fun on some of the other social media. But it is, you follow the people that you follow, and you don't look at the opposite view. And then there's so many people on your side of the equation that you align that you never get the other perspective. But we've talked about that a lot. But before I talk about how this connects and what it is, and I'm really excited to talk about this because it was timely, because I know we've had a couple episodes talking about polarization, both as flash moments and as guest episodes. I can't have any of them off the top of my head, but that's okay. As you listen, maybe this will trigger in your mind later on when you hear it on one of the other episodes. I just want to say this. I want to tell this funny story. So I think I one time said that we have a place in New York that we go to all the time, and I always tell everyone I meet, don't get your a wife a place to go to, or your spouse a place to go to, or your significant other place to go to where they could go without you. As a resulting thing is that Anne Marie's always in New York without me. And it's kind of funny. Now she's picked up a bunch of friends that were connected through my friends. So now she has people to go hang out with. So don't ever do that. That was my light bulb moment about a year and a half ago. So the second thing is that my wife likes a very cold house. So she likes the air conditioning on. So we were having some issues with the air conditioning. And so we got Martin Mendocino to come out. Great guy. Enjoy him. He's as Steve Palmer would say, he's of my people. He's an Italian, older Italian guy, and great guy. And he does a great job with the HVAC. So he goes, we got a couple different varieties here we could get. I go, yeah, let me get the super duper one. The one that's going to be quiet, can produce a lot of air conditioning and more comfortable air conditioning. But it's part of a zone system with a couple other AC units. So I go, yeah, this is the best thing to do. Little did I know that now, because it's such an efficient system, the house is freezing all the time. I can't. It's worse than it was before. I created my own problem. I caused myself pain. I'm always walking around in the middle of the summer with sweatshirts, sweatpants, gloves, hats because I can't take the coldness. Uh, another funny story. So that anyway, learn from my mistakes, everybody. Whoever your significant other is, learn from my mistakes. The other funny story was it was sort of that time period in the spring where it shifted from, sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's hot. So we got the new air conditioning unit and the window was open, but it was about maybe like 70, 68 outside, and then I asked my wife, I said, hey, we leave the windows open or should we turn the air conditioning on? And she says, both. I want both. I said, all right. I'm going to bed. So we had both for a little while. I think it sort of worked out. She says she is an expert on balancing our house air conditioning unit. All right. Well, enough about Amory. I thought that was funny. Um, the other concept here is now that we've gone through that, the idea now, let's go back to what we're talking about, polarization. So what's very interesting here is that the people that wrote the article are directly related to the Kellogg at Northwestern. So they're the business school, marketing school, whatever relates. So they're business. And we've had several people talking about Kellogg, and it's ironic. They all end in episode with a 9 in it. So Vera Gavrilovich was episode 149. She introduced me to the next two people. It was Jake Teeney, episode 199, and Mohan Sawhney, which was episode 169. So they were all Kellogg professors. Vera was a Kellogg student, but connected me with these professors. What was ironic was that the two people that wrote this article, both are Kellogg professors. It was William J. Brady and Eli J. Finkel. So, perhaps we can get this sort of Kellogg group together and group that on the website together with all these professors talking about what they know best. So as I read the article, I found a couple things that were very important. I'm going to read them. I don't normally read stuff, but I want to read it because then it'll set the stage for the next stage. Set the stage for the next discussion. It says, there's a ton more in this article other than this. It's a very, very compelling article. I think it was sometime in June of 2026 when it came out. It said, these algorithms don't just show users polarizing content, they teach users to produce more of it. So there's more to this, but I want you to sort of think about this. Social media has created these algorithms that are very polarizing, and people can jump on the polarization. So, and what it does is it stimulates people to post more of it because they see it all the time. Here's the kicker. This is unbelievable. When a user posts moral outrage and gets rewarded with likes and shares, they learn to post more outrage next time. So this is crazy talk. So not only do they go, okay, I'm going to post this thing that's outrageous. And then when everybody aligns it, there's this energy level to them. They go, oh man, if this got all this support and likes and thumbs up and all the other stuff, I'm going to do it even harder next time, and they're going to get rewarded again. But this is what happens, is that this is what the system has become. We have become so connected to what other people think and the immediate gratification and what's it called? Some level in your body spikes. My son Jack always talks about it. But the idea is that we're creating a loop where all this stuff creates more and more polarization. It wasn't like the old days where maybe the polarization was there. I mean, I don't think it's that much different. I don't think it's that much different from the old days in terms of people having separate views. It's just now more active, and everybody who has any opinion at all, can communicate it. And it's okay. I mean, I'm not trying to poo-poo people's opinions, and everybody could, have opinion on whatever they want, and God bless it all. But the idea is that if it's always out there and it causes people to be split, human connection, it's almost like the anti bright community, the anti light bulb moments community. The idea is that we try to pull people together in human connections, and then social media separates us. So what's more important? Is it to learn what other people are thinking, but in a polarized way? Or is it to have an open level of communication amongst people that you trust and care for? And I have plenty of people that are exact opposite viewpoints of what I am. And I'm pretty moderate, but on the extremes, I keep them both a little bit further away from myself in terms of me absorbing it. It doesn't mean I don't have great friends that are on both sides of the equation and that are at the extreme, but that's because I listen to them and I never tell them that they're wrong. I say I disagree, that this is how I perceive it. I agree with some things, but not others. So the idea here is that come listen to our guests, and you'll notice, everyone said, I think early on, let's have a little bit of, arguments. I think I even brought it up at one of the episodes. Hey, we need to be a little bit more combative, or not even combative, just have a situation where more controversial. I said, after a period of time, it goes, that's not what we're about. We talk about issues, we talk about what's going on with the administration, we talk about what's happening politically and geopolitically, but it's in a calm way, and we listen to people. I learn a lot just talking to people about what their opinion is, not just on the podcast, but wherever I go and the human connection, because I want to reflect what they're thinking, and they think so strongly. I know we had if you do a search on our website, you'll find the one we're talking about polarization. I think it's early on in the episode, flash moments, probably some of the earlier flash moments. But yeah, so we're trying to figure it out. So I think that if you align with the concept that you can have an opinion that's different than someone else, but then you can absorb into what they're saying and then have a good relationship with them, that's all we're trying to do here. So the other part of it, and we talked about this before, the second part of the headline from Brady and Finkel was AI is about to make it worse. Now, this is a subject to debate. Is it or isn't it? I think Sam Altman came out, and I quoted this before. He said, social media screwed it up. So it sort of agrees with this article. Maybe we can do a better job with AI. And I don't know if that's what's happening. And, I saw Anthropic and the government were at odds a little bit about curtailing some of the use of Anthropic. And I'm not an expert on this in any means. So please call in and correct me on the spark line if this is not exactly correct. But the idea is that AI is becoming such a situation where it can either go really wrong, or it can go really right, or it can just sort of path forward in a more logical, sustained way. Because it's so powerful, maybe we have to curb some of it before it becomes polarizing like social media did. And I'm not bashing social media, by the way. It's a necessary evil, but I use it in a different way. I use it to portray the message so people can then understand. Light bulb moments come on and become part of our community. I also, use it, as Omir Houston said, for a research tool. It's fantastic. Or no, actually, that was Steven Vucinich. Maybe it was both of them. No, it was Steven Vucinich. He said that we use it as a research tool. I learn more about my customers. Great, that's fantastic. And Facebook, I like to celebrate local events and telling things about what's happening, not in a polarizing way. So I use it that way. I use LinkedIn to portray the concepts of what we're trying to achieve on light bulb moments or outside general counsel, whatever it may be. And it's a way to reach out to the people that may be good for us. And I use it also to understand who would be good guests for light bulb moments. So don't let these algorithms get you. I think that's sort of the point of this podcast today. Sometimes I don't get to the point right away, but the idea here is that for those who haven't listened, you'll start to understand. But we're pulling it in here. Don't let them get you. Don't let them shift your perspective. Don't let them cause you to do things that you wouldn't want to otherwise do. Reflect back in your mind as when you're making that post or you're doing something. Say, hey, listen, if someone posted that, if someone posted something similar but the opposite view, how would I feel? How are people perceiving me for posting it this way? Is my family looking at it? Does my family or friends look at me differently now because I made this post? Think about it. People think this is in a vacuum, and there's some anonymity, if you're posting and so forth, you can maybe get away with it. But if people are aligned with you, or they're your friends on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, TikTok, whatever, think about it. Think about how they perceive it. That maybe they have a great relationship with you, but these views are directly contrary to you, and you're out of your mind talking about it. Think about it, because your reputation is everything, and at least from my perspective, my reputation means more to me than anything in the world. And interacting with people and projecting and creating trust, that's all done not just interaction, but because it's worldwide, it creates this whole dynamic is that you're perceived based on the social media, not based on who you truly are. Maybe you just had a bad day and didn't like what was said and popped it up there, but control yourself a little bit. So you show some restraint. I think you'll be better off. So I think some of the tools you've learned on light bulb moments. If you are polarizing or have this situation, come on over. We're glad to accept you. Listen to some of these episodes, to help you stay connected with other people. If you immerse yourself in the Bright community, we're here to help you. We're not here to hurt you. Um, um, Oftentimes just take the other person's perspective before you post. Say what would another person say, and then talk to someone before you post. Say, hey, I know you have the opposite view. Can you talk to me why you have the opposite view? How do you feel about my view? And if you're gratuitous with it and there's some trust in the relationship, then you figure it out as you go along. And then if you post it, think about it. What is gained? If it's going to be so powerful, that I guess what the gain is the synapses in your brain going, oh yeah, everyone likes my thing, people like me. But I don't know. Maybe they see something and they click on like, or they don't want you to feel bad, so they click like. It happens all the time. But don't do it just for personal gain. Do it to help yourself by doing something kind to someone else. So instead of being so angry or polarized, go volunteer in your local community at all the charities. There's so many charities that we've interviewed, and there's more coming. Within your neighborhood or where you live, go and give your energy that way. Give your energy in a positive rather than a negative way. And yeah, and I think that this all sort of comes full circle. And I think the problem is that technology is driving us to make it easier for us to project. So maybe AI is going to follow the social pattern. I don't know. I'm not a soothsayer. I don't, I don't know exactly what's happening with AI other than it's moving pretty quickly. I'm using it as a tool. I'm using it as research. I'm using it as a way to advance myself. I'm less concerned about how I can garner other people to think about my polarized positions, which I really don't have too many polarized positions, but I don't want to try to influence it because it interferes with how I feel about the world and how the world feels about me. So, anyway, interesting article. If you can get it again, June of 2026. I should have gotten the exact date. Sorry about that, but it was William J. Brady, Eli J. Finkel, and it was social media polarized us. Is AI about to make it worse? So that's part of what we're doing here is we're trying to get your mind going to think about it, and love to hear what everyone has to think about that. Maybe we'll get some opinions on the spark line. If not, next time you see me, if you see me, or next time you call me, see what's going on. Let me know what you're thinking. So anyway, tomorrow, and I'm going to butcher this name, and I butchered it last time, but I'm going to try. And I'm sorry, Logan. It's Logan Yonavjak, and I think that's right. Anyway, from the Founders Readiness Institute. So pretty cool. Going to get to talk about a lot of things I like to talk about: strategy, capital raises, scaling. These are things that we talk about, but to get more into that, as for those that haven't listened, our podcast sometimes trails into other things, but we don't necessarily talk about, even if it's their industry, if it's accountants or financial planners, we talk about a whole bunch of other stuff related to business, life, growth, etc. But tomorrow we can get to talk about patterns, which I love. My whole life now I understand because of this podcast that I think in patterns. I don't think in individually. So we get to talk about that. One of my other favorite topics, psychology. We get to talk about that. I finally figured out, I know I'm dumb. I could have looked it on AI, but someone finally explained COO versus CEO and the differences. So if you're interested in that, you can learn about that. And of course, ironically, I didn't plan it this way. One of the features here is prioritizing human connection in this world of technology. And then the final thing we're going to talk about is, this is cool. We get to talk about who to invest in and some strategies in determining how to invest. And most importantly, do you invest in the business or invest in the founder? what is the protocol with that? We'll let you wait till tomorrow to listen to Logan talk about that. So we'll see everyone tomorrow for another positive day of illuminating thoughts and light bulb moments. Stay bright, everyone.